until you disagree.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Hey family.
Hi guys.
It's Tuesday, so it's time for another short tip.
Yay.
Now, before we get into this short tip, I just want to share something with you. Something that may alarm you or burst your bubble, so to speak. Now, as long as you are married, and as long as you're two different individuals, you're going to have disagreements.
You are.
It's just going to happen. You're going to go through some periods of time where you just don't see eye to eye.
Definitely.
But our tip for you is do not allow your disagreements to disintegrate your relationship. Now, let me say that again. Do not allow your disagreements to disintegrate your relationship.
Yeah, don't.
All right. So we're going to give you 3 ways to do that. There are a ton of ways to do that, but we're going to give you 3 because this is a short tip. So the first one is remember that you are striving for oneness, but you don't always have to be the same.
That's right.
Talk about that.
So remember that because we're created differently, I was created differently than you, right? We've been married 17 years. So sometimes we do, I know what you're thinking, you know what I'm thinking, and we kind of move in that vein. But we're created differently, so we're not always going to think the same thing. If we did, then one of us would not need to be here.
That's true.
Right?
Wow, that's a good point.
So we're created differently. We're going to think differently, and it's okay. I don't have to convince him to think like me, and he doesn't have to convince me to think like him. What needs to happen is we need to find the middle ground, come to an agreement, find a game plan for whatever the issue is that's going to help the relationship. Not what's going to help me, not what's going to help you, but what's going to benefit the relationship. Find the middle ground and find a game plan to work on that.
Wow, that's good. So remember, you don't have to think the same. The goal is oneness.
That's right.
Now, the second thing is proximity. What do I mean by that? Use proximity. What do I mean by that? We often tell people that it's very difficult to have just a knockout argument while you're close to each other.
Right.
So we encourage couples, when you're having a disagreement, when you're having a difficult conversation, be in close proximity with each other.
Absolutely.
Don't try to have these disagreements and conversations over the phone or via text or shouting at each other from across the room or from even a different room. Make sure that you are sitting close to each other when you are working out this game plan that we just talked about in step 1. All right?
Because communication can be lost in translation, like they say, because I can't see you, I can't sense what you're feeling and what you're thinking because I'm not close to you. It gets lost in translation. So
use proximity. That's the second one. The third one is make sure that you are not opening a can of worms. What do we mean by that?
So don't open up a can of worms with trigger phrases or trigger words like every time you, or you never, or you always. Don't use those trigger phrases or words. Why? Because that's going to make your spouse defensive. And then they're not going to hear anything else that you have to say. So choose your words. Make sure that you use the right words, not those trigger words. And also, don't bring up past issues into the current issue. That confuses things, that makes your spouse, again, defensive and upset. Work on the issue at hand and don't use trigger words that will open up a can of worms.
That's a good one, because opening up a can of worms or using what we call or refer to as can opener words, that is the quickest way to make your argument or disagreement disintegrate your relationship.
That's right.
All right. So the 3 things that we want you to remember is remember that you are striving for oneness. You don't always have to think the same. Use proximity when you're having these difficult conversations or disagreements. And don't, by all means, don't use can opener words to open up a can of worms. All right? That's all we have for you today. God bless.
God bless.
And before we get into this short tip, I hate to do this, but I have to burst your bubble. As long as you're married, you're going to go through some disagreements.
Oh.
You're going to have some times where you just don't see eye to eye.
That's true.
Let me start over.
Yeah, I don't like it. I didn't know that. I didn't know what you were doing. I don't like that.